This week on The Breakdown, All Blacks assistant coach John Plumtree talks us through the bolters in the newly announced squad. Should they start etching the trophy now? Tasman coach Andrew Goodman is ready to run out his all-star team in the Mitre 10 Cup, kicking off this weekend. And Jeff will be basking in the win from the North-South match. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa. Hello and welcome to The Breakdown, episode 33. We gave JK a weekend off and we get to bask in the glory for the South of what was a fantastic contest at Sky Stadium. We shouldn't forget Farah Palmer Cup and the announcement of the All Black squad, the first All Black squad for 2020 made on Sunday. JK, is there anything you'd like to get off your chest?
Won.
Do you feel robbed?
We
what do you
won.
mean you won?
We won. I turned the TV off at 79 minutes 30 seconds, thought it was all done. Went and got myself a drink and I didn't see the news until I got here and you were skiting.
I'm not
Actually,
skiting.
Your arrogance around the win has been a little bit disconcerning.
I always allow myself
holding
one
trophies
week.
and...
Mills, are you rehearsing or have you actually finally come across? Have you finally got off the fence and decided, you know what? You wouldn't have known where you were sitting with a minute to go.
I know. I heard you say we were busking in it. So are you saying that I've aligned myself with you? I was actually right down the middle. I was supporting Paul Williams, the referee. Done an outstanding job.
All I know is I've got some merch for you. And it's a South Jersey shirt whenever you want to get it on. Hey? Oh, well, I said I was going to wear a North jersey, and that's fine. Okay, that's fine. Okay, you want to get something off
I
your
need to
chest.
say this. I need to get this on.
Get
It is our state of origin, Mills. It is our state of origin. Next year, just one game. Not 3 games, one game. A one-off, so we can get that.
And what a game.
And what a football.
game.
That was an amazing game of rugby. Both sides were outstanding. Bring it on.
All right, what do we take out of the contest then, Mills? The fact that there was so much anticipation. The game was pushed back a week, but it appeared as though the players, they came in prepared well. They looked at it as an opportunity, and I looked at that contest. I couldn't find a player that didn't take their opportunity to impress.
Oh, absolutely. And when you talk about when the teams got named and you looked at the squads that were on hand, gee, there were some excellent players. So you kind of thought, okay, how was this game going to evolve? Was it going to be how to scout this sort of stuff? But the structure and the disciplines and also the skill set of some of these players. You know, you're thinking about some of these guys during the Super Rugby campaign, Aotearoa, who struggled a little bit. And then all of a sudden, during this game, they just sort of came out of their shells and were at just another level, JK.
Well, I think there was a genuine excitement about the North-South as a competition. It was mate against mate, to steal an Australian state of origin thing, but it was. I mean, you know, it was fantastic. You had TJ and Aaron together, sharing up halves. You know, I just thought it was a fantastic excitement about the game. And when I think these guys, when they're as old as us, or as me anyway, they'll look back on this season amongst COVID, which has been sad for everyone, and think what amazing rugby has been produced. And the North-South was just a little bit of icing on that cake.
You always talk tribalism. We started to see some serious tribalism, not just in and around rugby fans, but also across social media, across the country, the fact that people were taking sides. I think for me, Mills, is this an opportunity maybe in some way to take this game maybe out of the main centres? Maybe it goes into some smaller places that maybe don't get test matches anymore, where they can build their season around their one-off game, and all of a sudden you get that festival atmosphere.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I think it's a real great opportunity now for New Zealand rugby to say, and all the players are saying it. You know, if we can have this annually, a fantastic way to bring some of that sort of tribalism, as you said. I'd love to see also the women's, perhaps, you know, in an under-21s, and so really make it, you know, that sort of that whole day and whole night of you know.
It's a weekend. You talk about great celebrations around the world when they have all-star games, when you have fixtures like this, when you talk about state of origin, you're talking about in Australia, of course, at the Rugby League. There is something around it. There is an atmosphere, and should it, though, JK, should it serve as an All Black trial? Is it in danger of it losing its meaning? Or does it just naturally happen anyway?
Oh, look, when they first came out and said it was provincial, I was against that, but it's actually worked out to the best, so they got that right. I think the first provincial game, so we'll cop that one. But I think if you extract the All Black coaches next year and assign someone else, it won't matter. If it becomes an All Black trial, so be it. It's good. It's fantastic. I thought it worked out pretty well if they want to put the All Black coaches in there. But what it was is, like you've both said, it was an event. And this year it was in the north. Next year it should be in the south. But I still think it's just a one-off. Right? Forget the 3 games. Just one off. Whack. We've got to put up with you for another year.
And keep putting up with me. But like I say, I'm not going to continue on that path because I look at the quality of rugby and how much of that was a result of what they've been through for 10 weeks, Mills. The fact that these players were able to come together and they were on top of their games, and Super Rugby Aotearoa, we all knew the standard was high. I probably didn't expect the game to be this good. Considering most defences are outstanding, it was like we couldn't contain ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same. The expectation was going into this that the ball is going to be a lot of mistakes. The continuity wouldn't flow as much. 2 contrasting styles, I'd have to admit, at the very beginning, with the South team going to their forwards, set piece, and they didn't quite get that sort of settled sort of style because the set piece wasn't going so well. A lot of penalties there. Whereas the North team using their loosies out wide. So, man, there's just some. I love the skill set about it. I love the fact it was that close and the lead changes. When the South got out to a 10-point lead and then been able to be pulled back, man, outstanding.
Yeah, we're just making a game of it then, make sure everyone gets excited. But for me, it's actually about these different provinces coming together. And it's like, you guys, you won't talk about your defensive pattern. You won't use the same calls. So that little bit of disorganisation in the defence actually helped the spectacle of the game. And if you're looking at it, you think, oh yeah, that guy didn't come up. But that's all part of it. That's all part of getting together, the week before, not really knowing what your calls are, and it creates a little bit of disorganisation, which helped.
And guess who we're not talking about today? And it's the refereeing and the support staffs, because I thought Paul Williams did a fantastic job, particularly at the end of the game when, yes, the North were conceding penalties, but in the end, the South had to go out and earn the right to win. And it took 15 on 15. It went right down to the wire, deep into reserve time as well. It was a fantastic weekend, Bernie, but it wasn't the only thing that was happening around the world in terms of rugby union.
No, indeed. But we are talking North-South because it's bye-bye Braden for the season. We saw the Crusaders centre go down at the weekend while playing in the North-South match, and it turns out he's ruptured his ACL. It's the surgeon's knife in a lengthy rehab now, which will take Braden Ennor out of the game for up to 9 months. It'll be torturous. Ian Foster named Ennor in the AB's squad on Sunday. The selectors now, they get to take their time, don't they, for a replacement. There's no rush at the moment because we're really not quite sure what's happening on the international scene. But there is a SANZAAR meeting on Thursday night. We understand that a decision on the future of Super Rugby and the internationals could be announced at the weekend. And channeling the positive, let's continue on that note. Our Prime Minister has said that internationals are a real possibility despite the COVID restrictions impacting us and of course the rest of the world. It does seem that there's optimism and willingness to make this happen, though it may well just be with Aussie at this stage. News in that the Pumas have had 6 players test positive for COVID. Not a great sign. A real exhale today, though, with news that South Africa won't be joining the 8 Nations tournament at the end of the year. They were touted to replace Japan, but Georgia has had the call-up, so South Africa still in the mix for us, which is good news. Now, what do you make of this tackle by England captain Owen Farrell? Have a look. Youch. Whatever you make of it, the judiciary says it's worth 10 weeks on the sideline. 10 weeks. That's how not to tackle. This clothesline on Wasp Charlie Atkinson had a march from the field at the time, and now for the game for 10, you could straight away see that he knew he'd blown it, and he's got form in the coat hanger department. Why don't we go to our prolific tackler, JK?
Yeah.
What do you reckon? 10 weeks?
Oh, look, he's done this often and he's got some tackle technique issues, but my problem is that when's he going to learn? 10 weeks, he's probably pretty lucky. He'll be back for the 6 Nations probably.
That Nations, but maybe not. Maybe not. I think he gets everything he deserves here. Absolutely.
You think 10's enough?
Maybe
That's
not
his
enough.
3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, what would really hurt was, actually, mate, you're out for the 6 Nations. Because that's going to hurt his pocket.
And no pay, exactly.
Actually, I hope he's not getting paid. I can tell you that for a fact. For a fact.
I'll tell you what.
But he's not like that.
Fans...
He's a good man, by the way. He's a good man. And like I said, I don't think there's any malice, but you've got to sort that out.
Oh, it's gone on too long, for sure. You know, he's been banned, and English fans want something else banned, and that's the new away kit for the England strip. The internet went crazy with reaction to the new blue kit. It's dark blue. I don't think it's too bad. It's being made by Umbro, more commonly associated with football after Canterbury lost their contract. Aaron Major knows all about losing contracts, doesn't he? He was shown the door from the Highlanders' top coaching gig over the weekend. So, are we about to have another party at Tony Brown's place? The chat is that Brownie may get the call up. The Highlanders' chief executive, Roger Clark, has said would be silly not to consider it. He's been head coach before. It's something we're talking about at the moment. But does Tony Brown have any desire for the main gig, or is he maybe best served as an assistant? What do you reckon, Jeff?
Well, the reality is Brownie's got an important role to play with Japan Rugby. Had great success at the Rugby World Cup. I honestly believe that the fact that is certainly one of his priorities. The other thing being is he loves coaching on the field. That's what he has a real passion for. You hear him talking about it. He wants that responsibility to drive his team. But I think what you'll expect down in the Highlanders is that they're trying to find the best possible coach available.
It's Brownie. I mean, what do you...
Whatever allows them to get what they need to get in terms of their
So that
coaching
says
structure.
to me that Brownie's just said, nah.
No, Brownie is going to sit there and he's going to go, I believe this, that he'll go, if you need me to be the head coach and we bring in a coach who's going to support me, great. If we find a head coach, I will support them.
So they're looking overseas?
They'll be looking for the best available option to come into there, whether it's an assistant coach or whether it's a head coach.
I like it when you
Brownie,
say Brownie's
do the job.
Sit there. If Brownie sits there, that means the price goes up, right? Oh, look, we know who isn't putting their hand up for that job anyway, and that's Otago stalwart Jamie Joseph. Joseph, he's coached the Landers. He coached them to their only Super Rugby title. That was in 2015. He said he can't coach Japan and the Kiwi franchise at the same time. He's contracted to Japan until the end of 2023, so take him off the list. How many great reactions did we get from the AB's naming on Sunday? It was just incredible. Caleb Clarke, he said he couldn't sleep the night before. Who could blame him? Hoskins Satutu, he was up at Sparrows pacing the floor. Cullen Grace, he didn't think he'd even get on the radar for a call-up. Alex Hodgman, he missed his name being read out completely. He was watching an online church service. And from the I'm not crying, you're crying file, Tupou Vai, one of the bolters. Check out his family's reaction when he broke the news to them that he'd made the ABs.
Yeah, I got some good news this morning. Just want to let you guys all know I made the whole thing.
I will never tire of watching that. That is amazing.
Yeah, it is. It reminds me of when I found out, which was actually halfway through a court session after a game I didn't even play in, and we lost the final.
So
Waikato played Otago.
crying?
But what was disturbing was that when I found out that it was actually JK's spot that I'd taken to the team. Oh. Makes that a bit awkward, eh?
Awkward. Why are you laughing, Ben?
Love you, JK.
Not that funny.
I'll bring you a quinoa salad next week. You feel all good.
How did you find out, JK?
Yeah, on the news.
On the
10
news?
a.m. on a Sunday morning, yeah, back on the wireless, as my dad would put it, on the wireless. But, you know, talking about Tupou Vai, like, those stories actually bring tears to your eyes, and that's how important our game is to our country. It's ingrained in our DNA, and to see that reaction is just like, you know, it brings back those fantastic feelings, Mills, of why you work so
That doesn't hit you,
hard.
really.
Yeah,
It hits you, right?
Absolutely, and you forget that. You forget that when the teams are named and you have sort of guys that be named for the very first time, and you know how the effect it has on their families and the sacrifice their families, you know, and all of our families have had to make when they make that team. So they all, you know, they bask in that glory. And wow, man, what a fantastic shot!
I'll say this though, JK. It's not until you're named in that team, that 15 and the 23, there's another buzz that comes with that, right? So these 7 possible debutants, they've got a lot of work to do inside that environment. They've been selected on form, but you look at that squad, they've got a lot of really accomplished, experienced All Blacks in front of them that they have to compete with.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing for me, and that's a really good point, when I first made the All Blacks, I thought I'd made it, sort of strutted in, feeling pretty good about myself. Then I realised I was nowhere near it, and if I'm not careful, I'm going to be out of here pretty quick if I don't improve my game. And the interesting thing, you're at the ceiling, and in New Zealand, everyone just keeps coming for you, which is what you did and took my spot.
Then you went and took it back off me. about a year later. But, I mean, you think about the squad, you think about the players. Were there any surprises for you? Was anyone unlucky? I mean, you go through this group and there are those new players, Alex Hodgman, Quinton Strange, Tupu Vaya, Cullen Grace, Hoskins Satutu, Caleb Clark, Will Jordan. Everyone else pretty established. We see Braden Ennor there, but he's going to be ruled out for a significant amount of time now. So it's sad for him. And they've said they're not going to replace him in a hurry. So, Mills, you look at the squad and the experience. We're moving on from not winning a Rugby World Cup. Can this group move on and move on quickly?
Absolutely they can. You know, if there was any surprises, I would have thought that the fact that they had so many bolters, so many new sort of, debutants that were going to be in the squad. But when you look at that squad, that every single player in that squad, JK, deserves their position. You look at the guys that didn't even play. Alex Hodgman, he had wonderful Super Rugby Aotearoa. Quinton Strange was injured as well. Cullen Grace, outstanding. So when you look at that and you think, oh, man, that's a quality side.
Yeah, look, and I think they're picking for the future a wee bit. I mean, I believe that the most important thing is that these young guys deserve to be there. Like you just mentioned, you've got to prove yourself. But we lost the last World Cup and we need to get to the next World Cup with plenty of experience from these young guys. You can't expect these guys to be there in 3 years' time and not have 20 tests under their belt, because experience wins World Cups. I think there's enough experience there that will be hurting from last year. So I think it's a really, really good squad. I can't sort of think, oh, I wish he had got in, because everyone who I thought should have got in.
I suppose the downside to that is, the uncertainty. Usually when you name your first All Black squad, you're going to have 12 test matches this year. So when you're talking about the experience that they're going to achieve, well, at the moment, we don't actually know how many they're going to get until the end of the year or next year.
And how frustrating is that, JK? Well, how frustrating is the fact we are sitting here and we don't know when we're going to see this team in action, JK? And should we know by now?
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit emotional today about COVID just because it's affecting all of us. Everybody's got their own, issues with it. But what's upset me the most is we have created an amazing environment in New Zealand. Even this last lockdown was only in Auckland. I don't understand why, and I don't know, because our Prime Minister said the other day it can happen. I don't know why the tournament is not here. How can Fiji go to London? So why aren't we having this competition in New Zealand with England, with whoever it is? We've made all this sacrifice to make it the safest country in the world. And what is happening? I'm heard it's going to be in Brisbane, or like I said, Fiji's going north. What is happening? So, Grant Robinson is our Minister of Sport. Come on, mate, let's do this. And I know you don't want to say, oh, we can't be doing this for the normal people in this. I disagree. Sport is an integral part of how we feel good. How good was it for us to watch sport during COVID? Straight out of COVID, all the people turned up. So we need to make an exception for our sports people by doing the right things. I'm sure if you ask New Zealand, put them 2 weeks in quarantine in their own country, fly them down in a private jet, and I'm not just saying rugby, I'm saying our golfers, let's use New Zealand at the moment to create some real sporting events. And yeah, we might have to change a couple of rules, but I'm sure we can look after the country and do that. And I also want to know why New Zealand Rugby Union is not putting some pressure on. Why are we so quiet? Where's our transparency, people? We need to know. We don't know what's happening on Thursday night. Bernie just said, we understand this might be happening. I mean, why can't we come out and talk about this stuff in the public domain? We all have a right to know because we've all made these sacrifices. Well, so that's my waffle and my ramble.
Well, we're getting to a point, though, aren't we? We're getting to a point, and the decision is going to be made. And I'm hopeful, Mills. I'm incredibly hopeful that when it comes to November, and we have created an opportunity here in New Zealand for whether it be Argentina, whether it be South Africa, to come here and feel safe, give them the preparation that they need to prepare to play against what we have created, which is that bubble that you've talked about. Yes, we're struggling through something at the moment on a smaller scale, but to agree with JK, I mean, this is a massive opportunity for us to establish ourselves as a unique place to be.
Yeah, I suppose the most frustrating part, and I totally agree with what you're saying, JK, is the fact that we said we're the safest country, we're the most practical country to bring, the teams here and actually self-isolate. but we still don't know. So I hope by Thursday that decisions have been made, that the government and the rugby union have got correspondence and said, look, this is what's going to happen. Because there's no use naming this team and naming Australian teams that they're going to go into camp to that if we're just going to sit here in November, December and saying, well, this is going to happen next year. There's no point. This is now the time for New Zealand to actually stand up and do something and make decisions.
This is what I say. Let's ask the New Zealand public. I could be wrong. Fly them down in a private jet, all together. Go and pick them up. Put them in a hotel in Queenstown together, or Rotorua, or wherever we've got one spare. You train at the same training facility, but one gets on at 9, one gets... I mean, this is COVID. Everyone has to make some sacrifices.
This is happening around the world in other sports, right? This is what's happening.
How can Fiji go to London?
Yeah,
how can that happen?
But they did a Champions League of football, didn't they?
Totally.
They brought players and teams into places well worse off than us.
Yeah.
And into Portugal, and as they got eliminated, they win. I think there's an opportunity here. I think it's really, really important for what we do. I'll tell you what we're going to do, though. We're going to go back slightly. We're just going to have another wee look. And an innovation that what we have done at Sky this year, we've introduced the player cam, and you voted and you gave us the opportunity to look at players. And I want to look at a couple of plays out of this game, the North-South, about how guys make decisions on field. This is the South, as we roll it through, have the options that they play. And this is what we're going to watch. We're going to watch Richie Mo'unga, the player that has obviously had huge influence on Super Rugby Aotearoa and his decision-making. And this is when Tyrell Lomax scores his try. As the players create their threats, Richie Mo'unga takes it to the line, delivers the whole ball into space, and Lomax scores on through. If we just run it on, he just runs through nicely. But what we did is we've got that in player cam. This is your second screen. Just watch Richie Mo'unga. Look at his vision, look at his scanning, get his positioning, understanding, reading where the defence is. As he takes it, delivers the ball, holds the defence, and he scores. The second vision, the understanding of exactly where he is looking. Something I love to see. Same again, connection of players. And of course, Richie Mo'unga and Will Jordan played together with the Crusaders. They've got an understanding, a connection, and when the space is to be seen, Will Jordan, one of the things he is great at is to react and see where space is, and then Richie Mo'unga connects execution. But it's the speed of that decision-making to me. Just watch him once again. Scanning, looking back at the ruck. What's the play? Oh, broken play here. Immediately the ability to put it to, kicks it beautifully. That's why, to me, that he is and has been.
No clips on the North. You're just going to show the South Island, are you,
See,
mate?
here's the funny thing.
No, nothing
the
on
fans,
the North. Oh, okay.
JK.
Excellent.
JK.
Fantastic. You just show the South, mate. No, Bowden Barrett wasn't out there. He didn't kick very well either.
That was a great kick that first time.
Oh, great. What about his kick, mate? How good was that little kick?
We missed that.
The fans decided who they wanted to see. And
No, they didn't.
They did. Yes, they did. And Richie Mo'unga was their selection. But I'll tell you what, if we're going to look at the weekend and some of the great action, let's look at that final play. Just two more, three more times in Wellington
Ad
with
break.
a sore ad break. It's Sky Stadium. Check it out.
Go to the toilet, everyone, like I do.
Varda's 3. Ioane kicks out for the wing. Jordan is there. Oh! He's done it! He's done it! Piece of absolute magic! Dig the crossfield by Ioane and gathered by Will Jordan, who crashes over for the winning try. What a try! What a win for the South!
Oh, look what it means. Ioane with the crossfield kick. 2. Will Jordan, and he'll score. And Will Jordan has snaffled it out of the air and has snaffled out the game for the South.
Kia ora, hello and welcome back to The Breakdown, where the All Blacks on Sunday announced their first squad for 2020, and John Plumtree, new assistant coach and of course new selector, joins us here on The Breakdown. And Plums, thanks very much for coming on board. Yeah, I know it was obviously a challenging week. You were coaching as well as preparing and talking about selecting a side. What was different for you about selecting an All Black side? You've picked teams before. What was different about picking an All Black team?
There's many differences. Obviously, it went on for a number of months. Flying around the country, spending time with Foxy and Foz, it was great fun, and obviously watching live games and going back and spending a lot of time on the computer looking at more detail. Then obviously there's a million Zoom calls. So, it was good to finally get it done.
Plums, you know, Foxy's one of my best mates, and that doesn't stop us arguing. He's probably he's more opinionated than me. So it's been a robust discussion. You know, I thought you've nailed the side. Looking to the future, what were some of the keys that you spoke about before you actually put names down? What were you trying to achieve?
I guess for me, Foxy was picking my brain around what type of forward pack that I was looking at, and the profile of each player around what props, locks, and loosies, and then obviously just getting to know what type of player I was interested in, and we had many conversations around ball runners, ball winners, power guys, great defenders, and then it's looking at each of the individuals that make up the profile of that player, and that was we had many conversations about that, and obviously with Fozzie, and then we include the rest of the All Black coaches around, they come into it as well at times. So, but really at the end of the day, it was the three of us that we nutted it all out, and it was a lot of great conversations, and like you say, I think it's a good group we've got there.
Plums, congratulations on the squad, outstanding team. I want to ask, we've had some great reactions, and particularly from the newbies in the team, but from a planning point of view, are we ever any closer as to knowing when these guys are going to be back together in the environment, and when we could be playing again?
No, there's still a lot going on. I see South Africa have made the decision not to go up to the UK, which is good. Whether they get out and come to New Zealand, Australia, we don't know yet. Argentina's still up in the air as well. So hopefully by end of next week we'll have a little bit more idea whether we're playing a rugby championship in this country or Australia. So we've selected a squad. We've sent the boys back to Mitre, and when we find out more, we'll group and have a camp and start doing some work. We're certainly, it's like the rest of the country, we're just looking forward to get going.
Plum, so on the back of last week, though, as coaching teams, you split apart and went to the north and south. Did that mean you were able
up the north?
It's too late, JK. It's gone. You're carrying on. But if you think about that contest, did you find a lot out in the last 7 days when they were in camp about what you'd expect from them and from the players?
It was great. It was great for us as coaches to work with our top players in the country. Obviously we had 2 coaches working down in the south, and we had 2 here. And there's a lot of players in the north side that, as much as I've walked around the change room shaking their hands after games, I hadn't really got to know them, and that was including some of the leaders. So getting them all together, nutting out a plan around how we were going to play, talking with the leaders, and then getting to know some of the younger fellas in the team, like the Caleb Clarks, etc., was great. It was good for me to sit and have some conversations and one-on-ones with some of the players that were selected. And it just reinforced that not only were those boys good players, but they really good people and understood the game and really professional and around how they go about their business. So it was excellent for us to be able to be involved in this week, and certainly wouldn't have wanted to have it any other way.
Plums, I think if there was one little part of the squad where you might think, well, that's interesting, is actually our lack of real tall timber. I think the locks that you've picked are really dynamic, but up against some of the Northern Hemisphere side, is that a worry, or are you just going to have to change the way we do things at line-out?
Well, a bit of both to that, I guess. We've got some pretty smart ball winners in this country. If you look at Patrick Tuipulotu, Sam Whitelock, and then a couple of younger guys underneath them, they'll learn a lot under the 2 experienced guys, and then obviously next year will change a little bit with Scotty Barrett coming back, Brader Italic coming back as well. But it's a really good opportunity for us to develop a couple of younger locks that potentially could be here playing the World Cup in 23, and we've got 5 or 6 in this country that are on the brink of breaking into international rugby, and we see Quinton Strange and Tupavai an opportunity to grow them. And we'll see how they go.
Plums, you talk about breaking back in. A guy that's broken back in after being initially selected, Akira Ioane. In those meetings that you've had with him, man, he's had a great season this year. How do you make sure this guy stays on that path?
Yeah, I've just loved seeing Kira play so well for the Blues this year. The conversation I had with him a couple of weeks ago before we assembled with the North Side was, what's been your turnaround, and he's comfortable in his own skin now. He's a better professional off the field. He's worked real hard around his conditioning with the Blues. He's seen the Blues succeed, and he's clearly wanted to be a part of that. And so when he got his opportunity with the Blues, he nailed it. And of course, then he just needed to play consistently well, and he did that. So came down, hadn't played for a number of weeks because of what Auckland were going through, and then he had another big game in the weekend, I thought. So, that guy's clearly really ready for international rugby. He's no stranger to playing in the black jersey, or whether it's for, I think he had a game for the All Blacks, for the Māoris as well, so, and the Sevens as well. So, so he's groomed, and he's got sorted a few things out, and he's ready to go.
Plums, I know when you were coaching the Hurricanes that you saw the potential in him, and we're starting to see that now. What do you see in terms of his ceiling, in terms of Hoskins Sotutu, and the fact that how quickly he seems to advance to the point he is, and what impact and what opportunity do you think he's going to get in the All Black jersey? Is it going to come sooner rather than later?
Oh, absolutely, it'll come sooner. Hoskins. I couldn't believe his growth in a short period of time. Playing for Auckland, and then I think he came off the bench for Auckland last year, and now he's keeping a guy like Kira out, and then playing again consistently well. His power game around back of the scrum, his ability to be able to win ball at the front of the line out. He's a real quick jumper. He's got beautiful skills. You see him often taking one-handed catches. And then, of course, he works pretty hard around the field as well, in terms of his tackling, and he's busy, dynamic on the edge, but he can also play up the middle of the park as well. So he's just going to get better, as he gets more confident. But what I was really impressed about when he came with the North team was just how comfortable he was around, senior players, and he's a pretty shy guy, and that's fine. But put him on the pitch, and he was away.
Plums, we lost the last World Cup, and experience, we know, wins World Cup. So how much risk do you take to get some of these young guys out there? Because you can't be asking these questions of Akita or Hoskins or Hodgman, in 18 months' time when you're 12 months out from a World Cup. So have you spoken about possibly taking some risks? I know we want to win every cup possible, but I'd rather have the World Cup.
Yeah. Obviously, we've had a few blokes and leaders as well drop out of the All Blacks after the World Cup, and they need to be replaced. And, generally they're replaced by younger talent and guys that have taken their opportunity. And if you see how tough Super Rugby Aotearoa was, consistently these boys that have been selected have been playing really well in that competition, which is really tough and physical. And every week the boys had to front up, and these boys that have been selected have done that. So I think by the time the World Cup comes around, I think we're going to have some pretty hardened players that will just get better and better.
From a coach's point of view, I know you're chopping it to bit to actually coach these guys, but have you had any time to actually, I don't want you to go into any sort of detail, any opportunity to be able to implement some of the structures you want to do, or was that just purely after the 3 rounds of Mitre Cup?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I couldn't help myself last week. Every now and again, I'll drop in, well, you make the All Blacks, this is what you're going to be doing. This is what you're going to be doing. So, and I'm sure Fiki and Brad were doing it on the other side of the South Island as well. So, yeah, you can't help but, when you've been sitting in lockdown for 7 or 8 months like I have been in Wellington, not having a team to coach, you get pretty enthusiastic. So I laughed because I told Sevu Reece every time I got a little bit over enthusiastic, tell me to calm down. So he came up and said, "Calm down, Plum." So it was good. But yeah, you're right. We haven't been together. We haven't been together much as a management team. We haven't been together as a group, as we know, and we're just looking forward to that happening.
Plums, you've selected 35. Of course, Braden Ennor now is, in terms of recovery, it looks as though he's going to need a knee operation. What are your expectations then over the next 3 weeks in Mitre Cup? Is there an element of pressure on these guys to go back and step up for their provinces?
Not really. I mean, there are some work-ons for some of the players for some of the players that we have selected that we will give them a little bit of direction around. But really, for a lot of them, it's just about going back to their provinces, have a good time, play with a smile on your face, and enjoy being back there, and help others, and use your experience to help younger players back in those provinces. And I think if you look at a guy like Sam Whitelock, I don't think he's played for Canterbury since 2010, so that's a fair while ago. So, this is a really golden opportunity for those boys to go back and wear a jersey that they first played for and really enjoy it and help everyone.
Plums, as always, insightful. You've been on the breakdown before. Thanks for coming on. Where are you this weekend? Are you Inglewood, maybe? Taranaki, Bay of Plenty? Or is COVID lockdown still apply to you and you just got to watch from your TV at home?
I'm actually going to head across to Martinborough and have a couple of wines, I think.
See you there, brother.
Thanks, Plums. Thank you very much.
Too.
Yeah, outstanding. That's the way to get you on board right there. You want to make that coaching team. Look, I've always been really impressed with Plums. I've had him on the show before, Mills, JK, and the fact that he just seems as though he's incredibly experienced, incredibly grounded, knows exactly what he's looking for out of his players. Yeah,
I think he's outstanding. I really enjoy his company as a person. Him and I have coached against each other. I've been to his house in South Africa before a game. He came back here, nailed it with... and he answers the questions, tells you what you need to know. I just think he'll be a fantastic... And he'll bring a bit of steel too.
I'll tell you what, how exciting is it about Hoskin Satutu? I mean, and to hear that and the fact that you get that sense all of a sudden, that they've seen these players, they've seen them grow, Mills, and they know that when you get into the All Blacks, you're going to improve. To think that some of these young guys can get better than what we're seeing right now is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, and to also communicate that to those guys. When you come into an environment like that, and, it's just, even if it is sort of, the north and south, there's so much detail, there's so much nerves and things like that. But when you have your one-on-ones with the coach, to be able to have a guy to sit there and say, hey, you're doing a great job. Yep. This is what I think of you. And then when he comes on TV and says, this is what I think of this guy and where he can get to, it's sooner rather than later in the All Black jersey. How good is that? That he's actually speaking, and he's been in this seat talking about guys like this.
Exactly.
And exactly the same things he shared.
But you know what else, Mills, that I like? You guys have been old buggers like me in the squad. When then young fellas come in and they're way better than you, man, that brings out the best in the older guys. So that'll be good too. Some of these experienced players are going to have to really go hard to get in the side, and that makes for a great All Black team. So much attention around the All Blacks and, of course, the announcement on the weekend, North-South game. But we shouldn't forget, though, the Farah Palmer Cup. It kicked off on the weekend. The highlight show, 7:30 on a Wednesday night. Make sure you catch all of the great and fantastic action from the women's game.
Thank you so much for joining us. And how exciting is it to finally get the competition underway?
Oh, mate, that was more exciting than letting fireworks off when it's not even Guy Fawkes out.
Players of that calibre playing just brings more mana to the game.
It's going to be a nice little play between that experience combination.
It's just so hard to stop when she's at full speed.
She gone again.
Canterbury, they run a lot more. The GPS is going to go off. You want high numbers, go down south. You want big hits, come to counties, baby.
That puts a smile on this man's face every time he sees it, I'm sure. Andrew Goodman, the head coach of the Tasman Mako, after losing 2 finals. They won a final last year. And thanks for joining us on the breakdown. Mitre Cup is just around the corner. Are you ready to defend your title?
Evening, lads. Yep, no, that definitely brought back some good memories. A great day in sunny Nelson. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the start of the new competition, and it's going to be an exciting one. And a lot of players returning back to their provinces, or returning players coming back into country. So yeah, the boys have been together as a full squad at the start of this week, and we're really excited about the challenge.
Goody, it's JK. Why are you stealing our Auckland players like Mark Talia, mate? What's going on down there? When I go down there, I get free crayfish and wild pork from my mate John Gully. But what are you guys doing to get all these players down there? You've got the team from... Unbelievable team. What are you doing? It's not the sunshine.
Yeah, pretty much what you've just said, JK. There's sun, there's fishing, hunting, beautiful beaches. So, yeah, that's the currency we pay the players with down here.
Oh, yeah, right.
And winning. Let's be honest.
Goody, 20 Super Rugby players in your squad. 25 of your players are actually playing club rugby down there. How are you going to manage the expectations in terms of game time?
Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the All Black program. Obviously, we've just had a couple of new guys named in that, and Quinn and Will Jordan, which is awesome for our province. Obviously, Quinn, a local boy from Collingwood, coming through Nelson College, and Will out of Christchurch Boys, but being a big part of our Marco team for the last 4 years. So, as you know, yeah, we need that depth. There's injuries, especially after that brutal Super Aotearoa comp. There's been a number of guys that have had some injuries, so we're going to need that depth to go through this competition.
Goody, I want you to explain to, I suppose, the fans at home how it's all come about, how this combination of teams has come together and all of a sudden you've worked towards this, and who have been a big part of that, and of course, the wonderful community of support you seem to have in Nelson.
Yeah, both sides of the hill, Nelson and Blenheim, and I think... just thinking back to it, I think KK and Leon, the coaching partnership they had, has definitely played a big part of it. Not only the performance and the string of results they started to get, but it was the consistency of our preparation that they really demanded. Once we started to get a few wins together, that belief grew. Performances also meant we had more guys going to Super Rugby teams, living as full-time professionals year in, year out. So when those guys come back and shoulder up with our club boys, it rubs off on them as well. And I think they were a big part of it. Obviously, the relationship we've got with the Crusaders, with our Crusader Academy here based in Nelson's, been a big reason behind it as well, about being able to attract good young good players to come into our region, but also keep our local guys in the region because we've got that good academy system and a pathway through to Super Rugby.
Goody, how are you going to deal with the expectation? I know Mills has just talked about playing time, but, when the teams come out, we're all sitting around saying, oh, look at that Marco side. I mean, not easy for you as well. How have you spoke about that to yourself personally, but also to the rest of your staff?
Look, we're lucky we've got a really good young leadership group that have come back in this year and have said it's not about defending the Mitre 10 Cup. They want to go out there and win it again, and they know that it's a week-by-week thing with obviously looking at the squads right across the Premiership and the Championship. There's going to be two hotly contested competitions, so we know that we're on the start line evenly with everyone else now, and we've got to just worry about day by day, week by week, really.
Goody, you've spoken about the Crusaders. You've been an integral part of the Crusader outfit. How much of that stuff that you've sort of implemented in that environment do you bring to your team, or have you kept some stuff in your back pocket for your Tasman Marcos?
No, mate, it's been a great learning experience for me down in the Crusaders environment the last 3 years. Obviously, being able to see how Ray works and runs the organisation down there, just the way, the positive language, the energy he brings every day. So, yeah, there's definitely a couple of things we'll look to implement here at Tasman, but we've also got our own flavour that we love as well.
You've got Wyatt Crockett in your back pocket ready to go if you need to. I mean, that's what the advantage you've got. And of course, all this great work at the sports store in Nelson. But I want to ask you about David Havili, who has been extremely influential from the outside looking in terms of the performance and leadership. He's been under an injury cloud. When do you expect to see him back out on the field?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Davey's been charging around at training this week, so he'll return to contact next week, hopefully, and be available round 2 or 3. So, as you said, he's a great leader amongst our group. Amazing young man, the boys really respect, so we're looking forward to getting him back on the field.
Goody, often we talk about the players getting better, but how do you want to get better as a coach this year? What do you want to work on?
That's a good question. Yeah, always striving to get better as the players do, and seeking feedback around, just being more efficient really in meeting rooms and keeping things engaging and interesting for the players. A lot of them come off Super Rugby campaigns. So yes, important as coaches we keep evolving the way we share information with them or present to them. So it's not the same old for them, and they are engaged and enthused about coming into work every day.
It's not the same old because the All Blacks are going to make an appearance in this competition. It hasn't happened for a while. Guys come back from injury to recover, but the bulk of them, they're all going to be out there. How do you think that changes the nature of the first few weeks, and how do you think the other players are going to react to that?
Well, just being around our group, I can speak on the experience that, this brings a real buzz. Those boys coming back in on Monday morning. And we've had guys that have just played in a club final and being involved in the team for the first time, to be able to rub shoulders with your Shannon Frizzell or Tyrell Lomax and get some scrum tips off him, or as a Will Jordan as you got running in there. It's great for those boys, and they'll feed off it. And we've talked to our All Black boys that have been really impressed how they've come back in the last couple of days, and have without any prompting have just got alongside those new boys. Ask them what help they need, and just helping them to become real good professional day in day out players.
Goody, you would have looked at the squads. You know where the player movements are. Who are they? Who are the teams you are wary of? Who is it you're expecting to be right there come the business end? We expect you to be there, but who across this Mitre 10 competition, this premiership, are you knowing are going to be strong?
Well, I think when you look at the premiership, obviously, Auckland have got a few All Blacks coming back into their mix at the moment, 7 or 8. Canterbury, we know, are an amazing team year in, year out. I think that Wellington team that got through to the final last year have got an amazing group of players back. A lot of them play together with the Hurricanes. They've plenty, had a great year last year, and they've recruited really well with Black, and I think Triple T's going there as well. So Counties getting Dalton and Kieran Reid, Baden Kerr, all the teams are going to be really strong. Whoever missed out, I don't want to miss anyone out in the premiership. Whoever missed, North Harbour, well coached by my old mate KK up there. He's got a great rugby mind, and they've got a good squad of players as well. So it's going to be a hotly contested competition.
So you're saying everyone?
I got covered up.
Yeah. So you're saying everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like any good coach.
Championship as well.
Like any good coach, you're playing a straight bat. That's what I wouldn't expect. But I tell you what, thanks so much for joining us. We're looking forward to this competition, but also the way you coach that team and the way you like to play the game. It's 1 to 15, 1 to 23. Look forward to seeing the great crowds once again and the great action coming out of the Tasman Marcos. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, lads. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Really like. You think the crayfish and wild pig could extend to the commentators?
Gotcha.
Oh, you got to extend it this way, when you get it. Yeah, that'd be great.
I want to bring this up. It's not just returning All Blacks. There are players coming back into this competition who are returning from overseas, haven't been able to get contract mills. So all of a sudden, Kieran Reid, he's got a release to come back and play. I know Solomon Tomalolo has gone back to the Hawke's Bay with Bryn Evans. And all of a sudden, there are players showing up that are going...
No, mate, it's the All Blacks.
What's that?
It's the All Blacks.
What do you mean it's the All Blacks?
Well, Whitelock hasn't played since 2010.
Yeah, I get that.
Everyone's going to turn up and watch the All Blacks play. This is gold dust.
Yeah, but you're adding an experience with All Blacks, with younger players, Mills, for at least the first 3 rounds. We've got a legitimate competition.
Have we what?
And this is one of the, I suppose, positives of the COVID-19. The guys have actually returned. They've missed out on contracts overseas. It's hard to travel overseas. But now this competition, this Mitre 10 Cup competition, our provincial competition, it's almost like it's back to
Julian Savia.
Yes, exactly. Oh. And I looked at those squads, and you look at the fact that
he nearly came to Auckland. Do you hear that?
Nearly. Are you trying to get some of your players back, JK?
I thought it was Harbour.
Talia went for the crayfish.
So obviously I'm back in Otago and Southland. You're with Auckland. Where are you? Where are you going on this?
Waikato and Auckland.
Waikato and Auckland, you're bringing it on. I tell you what, Bern, as usual, they can't find out where. They can't work out exactly where they're committed to. As usual, we'll get more out of Mills as the weeks go on, and one of his team will start winning eventually.
Yeah, Bern. But if it's the pork or the fish, there's no problem with
there's only one place to go.
No. Look, thanks to everyone who emailed us to win the North-South merch. Your goodies will be on their way to you. I think that's yours, JK, so hang on to that.
Oh, you can send it to the people that won it.
Before we go...
Good hands, good throws. Stop throwing that around.
Try that. The disrespect of it.
Exactly.
Dad jokes. Some of the All Blacks on Sunday did their best to trot out some dad jokes. And, of course, the worst ones, they're always the best, aren't they?
Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field.
These are bad.
What did the buffalo say to his son when he dropped him off at school? Bye, son.
Yeah, keep your day jobs, boys. And in breaking news, New Zealand police have released an image of this man, wanted in connection with the robbery of the entire North Island on Saturday evening. All right? Give him a life sentence, I reckon. Put him in isolation. Hang on, we're in isolation, aren't we?
He's probably born up here.
Thanks to the boys at Rugby Pass. Good sense of humour.
There's only one team I want to see him, and it's the All Blacks. I'll tell you what, there's some special performances, JK, but like you say, Mitre 10 Cup's going to be all on. What a fantastic, fantastic competition in front of us. I can't wait for it, Bernie. Where are you sitting, by the way?
Am I sitting?
Yeah, Waikato through and through, is it?
Waikato all the way. Something's got to turn, doesn't it?
You haven't got over that whole Hamilton Chiefs thing yet? I mean, are you kicking on? I'll tell you what, it's been fantastic
Chiefs
as always.
Amos.
With us on a Tuesday night. It's game on. JK is back. He's committed. There'll be big news, of course, as always, coming out of New Zealand rugby later in the week. Plenty to look forward to. Mā te wā.
And Wellington have snatched this. Nell winds up, bumps off one, steps off the left, Dylan Nell. Oh, what a try! Matt Duffy! What a try, North Harbour. Oh, what a run! And look at the crowd, they're pumped up. And he's got it! Mackay! Oh, what a try for Canterbury!